How is everybody doing? Good. All the phenomenal women and men who support them. Yeah? So I just wanted to say, first of all, if I can use the language, I'm screwed, Why is that? Even though I teach for a living, so the gift of gab comes easily. After going after Sylvia Oprah Monge, I don't know how you top that, but I think we'll be fine. So with me, I have 3 phenomenal women, and talking about a topic sometimes as women, we just think that we have it. Spirituality, I think it tends to lend itself more to women than men, according to research. But coaching is sort of a contradiction because we don't take advantage of that as much as we should. Because why? Even in literature, it's seen as a male, construct, coaching. We coach sports, okay? We coach, little leagues and so on and so forth. And it's also associated in the sports arena too. But obviously, recently, the whole field of coaching has taken on a twist, okay? So we have life coaches now, okay? So what is the importance of coaching? Why do we need it as phenomenal women? We're going to cover that today. So I'll stop talking and I'm going to open it up to my 3 phenomenal women. So with diverse backgrounds, I don't want to take my time with going through their resumes. You can look at that, it's in the booklet. They have extensive resumes. But I want them to just briefly talk about the journey that brought them to this point and why they feel coaching, mentorship, spirituality is so important in our growth as women. Maybe we can start this way.
Good afternoon. My name is Judy Pineda-Nevels. I'm so humbled and honored to be here with you all. This is such a good question, sort of how I got here and my background and how it all fits together. I grew up in an incredibly diverse home life. I'm a white presenting Latina woman, so my mom was born and raised in Mexico. Both my parents immigrants. My dad was born in Belgium. And I grew up in a mixed race, mixed culture, mixed religious household, and I just thought that's how everyone was, Doesn't everyone have a Christmas tree menorah growing up? But it really taught me about the beauty and strength that diversity brings into my life, and how to embrace all people and the strengths that are within us. And so I bring that into my work now. I spent about a decade working for an organization that trains women to run for office. I was really excited to see you here, Charlene. It's called Emerge. So for those who are thinking about running or inspired by what Charlene said, Emerge is an organization both in Massachusetts but nationally that helps train Democratic women to run for office. And when I left Emerge a couple years ago, I went out on my own and started my own consulting business. Part of it was I realized I liked working for myself. I liked the flexibility and the values that I could sort of instill in my own consulting company. And then just recently this year, I launched a new business focused specifically on women's leadership development called the Spark Sisterhood. And through that, I do leadership retreats, trainings, workshops that work to kind of ignite the power and illuminate the strengths that are within all of us. Because I believe there's so much out there now and conversations around how to empower women, but we are powerful, right? We're born with the power and strength and bravery and courage to get us to where we are and where we need to be. We don't need people to tell us how to be. We just have to spark that a little bit, right? And turn on the flashlight. And so that's what I'm doing and launching retreats all over the country. I'm really excited about that. So if you want to learn more, either me or my website or sparksisterhood.com, we're launching a bunch of retreats this fall, so I'm excited to get that launched.
Okay. Irene?
Hi everybody, so I'm Irene Nakabongila Good Day. I came here when I was 10 years old, so that's about 32 years ago. And my journey is actually very interesting. Family settled in Waltham, and I've been really blessed to have a wonderful and very strong Ugandan community that has seen me, kind of hit my teenage years, 20s, and now I'm in my 40s. I'm up here really as an entrepreneur, and that's where my perspective is going to be coming from. Simply because being an entrepreneur is extremely hard. You go through this emotional journey. I don't think I'm bipolar, However, I am convinced that I might be. I have like this wonderful emotional basket, salad, whatever, and it's just like a mixture of lots of greens, lots of reds, lots of yellows, and I am up, I am in between, and then I'm up again, and then I'm down really low, and so I think that in regards to mentorship and spirituality and coaching, these three aspects really come into play when you've decided that you're going to leave your comfort zone of working at really elite and very competitive and very nurturing. You're doing patient care work in the hospital setting. And then prior to that, I used to work for an angel investor. And interestingly enough, this lovely lady and I know him, we know his family. And so I used to help start companies before I went into healthcare after my father said, well, Irene, you're giving me heart pressure. Like, Dad, what's heart pressure? Why don't you get a job, leave the .com world and get a job in healthcare? You wanted to be a doctor. And I was like, yeah, it's not sexy. So I think that for me, while I'm up here, that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about based on my experience, why you need to surround yourself around a coach. I just wonderfully had a short session outside of this room that was really impactful, but then also embracing that emotional basket case moment where you're like, and you're just like, all right, so that's it.
Okay, hi. Hello everyone, my name is Sally Mwiruri. I am a documentary filmmaker, and I came here 5 years ago into America from Kenya, and I came into the Kenyan community, and I started kind of learning what young folks are doing in America, and I was a junior at the time. I was young from college and brought here, trying to get my way into college and continue with what I was studying. But in a nutshell, I got to interact with very many people who tried to sway me into health. I don't know whether African immigrants or Kenyans, to be specific, really go into health and nursing and all that. And I was like, I am not a nursing or anything. I'm not a science person. I'm very creative. I'm into creativity. And I had to really work hard to stay in documentary and filmmaking world. And thanks to African Bridge Network, I've been able to meet a lot of mentors who have really shown me that I can really be a documentary filmmaker and make a life out of that. And I just finished my first solo documentary, and I screened it yesterday to the Kenyan community, and I was pushed into charging everybody to come and watch the film, and I was told that if they could pay $200 to go out in the club and buy drinks, they could pay for your documentary. And so that happened, and I'm really, really happy that that happened. So, yeah.
Awesome. Wow. How inspirational. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. So let's dig in a little bit more. Okay, so let's talk about the role of coaching. Okay? And mentors. You already started alluding to that in our discussion. Irene, you've stressed a lot you want to get into, why we need coaches. Maybe I'll start with you. Why don't you tell us?
Self-doubt is a bitch. It's this negative, like no matter how great we are, no matter how confident we are, everybody who's here obviously has an amazing drive, right? You're surrounded by so many amazingly talented, compassionate, empathetic, loving, thoughtful people. But even those that are wired a certain way. We can even call ourselves type A personalities. We have our moments, and it's just a human component, right? Like that moment of self-doubt.
So let me ask you, let me interject a little bit. So what's wrong with using our family as coaches? Do we use our family? Do we seek paid coaches? I mean, so what is this coaching thing? How do we get into it? So there's some value to it. We see we need somebody who is going to cheer us on when we are down. But how do we start on that? How do we harness this? Okay.
I do some coaching, and I have had a coach, and a therapist, and a squad of friends, right? But I think sometimes it's hard for us to look in the mirror and realize what we're good at, right? And it's helpful to have someone else look at us and reflect back what they see. And that can be a number of people. It could be your family, if you have a family member that's supportive in that way. I don't have that many there that's supportive of me, to be honest. So I found my chosen family to be kind of the squad of people that have been cheerleading me along the way. I have a funny story about coaching. I had a coach when I was getting my MBA a few years ago, when I was just starting my consulting business, and I do nonprofit management work, organizational development, and leadership development. And I remember I was picking up a couple of contracts to just kind of get me through grad school, and I sat down with my coach and I said to her, I really want to open a consulting business and do this work. And she said, you're doing it. And I said, no, but like for real, you know, like I really want to do this. And she's like, tell me about what you're doing in your day life when you're not going to grad school. And I told her the things that I was doing for my clients, etc. And she said, I'm confused why you don't think you're doing this work. And it really kind of took her to like slap me around a little bit, you know, and say, you're actually doing the work you want to be doing, you're just not able to name that and own that you're doing this and say that you have your own consulting business. And so sometimes it was just having someone say to me, you're doing this work, it's okay to say it out loud and speak it into existence and shut down your inner critic, right? Because mine is really mean to me, my inner critic, right? And so to learn how to shut her down, that's sometimes what a coach does. It could be someone you pay, it could be your best friend in the entire world, you know, it could be, you know, anyone in this room could be a coach for you right now. Just finding someone who's willing to look at you and reflect back sometimes the things you're not able to see in yourself has been an important part of my process.
And if I can add to that too, sometimes we don't believe the people around us. So that's why sometimes there is value in seeking an external and biased voice, right? People are like, oh, she's just my friend, she just believes in me, but really she knows I can't do it. Or sometimes our closest friends, they see us for our faults, right? They know us at our worst too, and at our best. And they may tell us, you know what, I think you're overshooting it, right? So having that external voice sometimes, you know, helps you see from a different perspective and is able to affirm you. I honestly do believe in the power of getting somebody. It's not just an opera term, coaching, you know? So we tend to think that's just the foo-foo, you know, kind of a thing. It's not really African, you know? And we just do it, you know? But there's value in getting that. So now let me get to mentorship, and then also tying it in spirituality. Because I think Africans are so spiritual, okay? Which is great, you know, spirituality, but sometimes tends to mean religiosity. I think there's a difference, right? But also, so that ends up to lend itself, maybe we find our mentors are in the church. I don't want to go into a field that, you know, so I don't want to get myself in trouble here. But I want to talk about the role of mentors or lack of, and why do we need mentors? So are we talking about careers? Are we talking about personal lives? Are we talking about looking at, you know, modeling what good marriages are? Are we talking about modeling what a good career looks like? Like you talked about being dragged into the healthcare. Maybe those are the templates that we have. So if you want to look at, like for example, Sally, I think is a really good example, filmmaking. You'll find maybe we don't have a lot of that, but she was able to find an organization which helped her and helped bridge the gap for her. Can you imagine? She's only been here 5 years. Look at what she's achieved, right? So how do we do this? How do we go outside of our comfort zone to find mentors who are able to take us to the next level? The way I was advised, mentors You seek mentors, especially in organization, professional mentors, people whose job I want in 5 years, right? Those are the mentors that I sought. So how did you go through the process? How did you know to find the right mentors to help you? So I'm really, intrigued. So let's just share a little bit about your story, and then maybe I'll have you guys share.
Okay, so I didn't know how to go about it. I attended a speaker series with African Bridge Network, and African Bridge Network has this mentoring program. I'm just going to talk about it just a little bit, and then we're going to play the video. It's just, I think, 1minute and 47 seconds long. So African Bridge Network does something that we call a forced marriage, really, because it's really like that. You just, you are asked what you study and what you want to be, and then that's what happened to me. And then the mentoring program planners or organizers found someone who does what I want to do, and then they organized a meeting like this, and then that's how we met them. And we were like, okay, so mentees, meet your mentors. So just look at your name in the form and see who's your mentor and find them. And so that's how I found my mentor. And the beauty of African Bridge Network is that they match you with someone who looks like you. So, well, they weren't able to find a female director, a female filmmaker, but they found a male African filmmaker from Ghana who was my mentor for 9 months. Yes, 9 months. And he really pushed me into finishing my documentary, into showing me that I can have a business in video production and it can really succeed because he has one himself. So I really, I went to African Bridge Network and they did all the work for me, because really it's hard to just approach someone and be like, hey, can you be my mentor? Like, who are you? Why do you want me to be your mentor?
Sometimes it works,
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, for my situation, it was a bit different because I have an accent. I've been here like 4 years. I don't really know people. I'm trying to do this weird thing that my Kenyan community doesn't really understand. So I was really in a fix in a way.
But you know what it tells me? You still took the first step.
Yes.
You still sought information. I think that's a lesson here. Sometimes we hold ourselves back by those fears, by saying, who am I? Why should I ask and everything. Sometimes just ask. Just put yourself out there. And you never know whether all they can do is say no. They won't beat you up, So, but mostly, sometimes, chances are they will say a yes.